Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We want to turn now to the murder of Julio Foolio trial going on in Florida. Alicia Andrews is one of 5 people accused of killing the rapper, whose real name is Charles Jones. The defense claims that Andrews is not part of the gang and that she had nothing to do with the crime. She was just along for the ride with her boyfriend. Now, during testimony yesterday, the state called Andrews' best friend, who testified about some potentially incriminating text messages that Andrews sent her. Now, we are not allowed to show this witness or identify her, so let's listen to part of her testimony.
And then the defendant then texts back to you, and this is January 21st of 2021, 8:39 a.m. Girl, I don't like Julio. Ugly ass. He need to die. And that was Will Friend, and then that code, and he shot me and my friend died, question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, I'm pointing out who did it. What's she saying there? What's she talking about?
Well, she's referring to somebody that had just died that we know.
In this gang war?
Yeah, we're basically just gossiping.
Okay, I understand that, but who was it in this gang war that she personally knows?
Personally?
Yes, you're saying that you're talking about a friend that just died.
Will, that was the only person that we both know.
Will at Rains High School, is that, or who else?
That's it.
Oh, all right. And then what did you say in response?
I can't stand him either. He's green as and OMG, he killed Will Friend. OH, nah, I would have slid. Cause he all on Instagram clowning his A. I would have dropped that bag on his head or came for one of his homeboys. Somebody gotta die.
Okay, let's go back to this when she texted you. Hold on, because I think Julio talking about Therese and his friends, LMAOOOO. I do not like him. What's she talking about in this particular sentence?
Julio's talking about Therese on social media.
On social media? Mm-hmm. And then she says, I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together. And then she says to you, that is Julio, though he recruit a bunch of dumbass who's willing to die. Is that what you said in response to her?
Yes.
And what do you mean by he's recruiting a bunch of people?
Well, it was something that really was city known and everybody was saying, like, I'm not the only person that said that. A lot of people in this city has said that, like, he recruit a lot of people to die, meaning that he got a lot of people that will come behind him ready to risk their life behind him, and he's still out and alive and living his life.
And he's a part of 6 Block, right?
Correct.
All right, so just put into context, those were text messages from about 3 years before the murder in question of Julio Foolio in this case. And the murder was of a guy who went to their high school, those 2 girls, their high school. And the word was that Julio Foolio was responsible for that, so that's what they were talking about. Here is some of the defense's cross-examination of that same witness about whether the text messages were something more than gossip.
Now, when you and Alicia are texting back and forth, how old are you at the time?
I'm 18 at the time.
All right. Are you young at that time?
Yes.
All right. And when you and Alicia are texting back and forth, does this have anything to do with Alicia wanting to kill Julio Foolio?
No.
Did you ever want Julio Foolio to die?
No.
Even though you emphasized the message there, did you want Julio Foolio to die?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
Overruled, but she has already asked and answered it. So anyway, what's your next question?
Even though you emphasized the message there, did you want Julio Foolio to die?
No.
All right. And when you all are talking back and forth and you're calling each other the B word, bitch, are you all really meaning to degrade each other?
No.
All right. Is that more of a figure of speech?
Yes.
All right. And when you all are talking back and forth with each other, is this a form of gossip?
Yes, it is.
Are you and Alicia Andrews gossiping about what's going on in Jacksonville?
Yes, we are.
With all these different people, whether it be Therese, whether it be Foolio, whether it be this group or this neighborhood, is that gossip?
It is gossip.
All right. And is it ignorant gossip?
It is ignorant gossip.
All right, so now before trial, the defense tried to keep those texts out. Obviously, they lost. Well, the state is now trying to get an even older text. Those were 3 years. Now they're trying to get in 4- and 5-year-old text messages. So the defense argued against those today in court after court was done. So let's go back in and hear some of those arguments.
This is another attempt to, quite frankly, reach and stretch the idea that she is somehow involved in this particular murder, because 4 years ago she had a conversation with a guy who was romantically interested in her, who was really talking about wanting to live a normal life and be away from all of this, and how he's warning people to stay away from it. So it's not even it is not actually the way that they're framing it. But even if it were, the fact that she knows these people, she lives in Jacksonville, Your Honor. She is from Jacksonville. It is inevitable that she's going to know people or have communication with these people. Her association, and I don't mean association literally with the gang, I mean knowing these people or coming into contact with them, is not a material issue in this case. It is another attempt by the state to put this before the jury to make it appear as though she is associated with the gang, when their own expert officers, detectives, are going to testify that she's not associated with the gang.
All right, interesting stuff there. Let's bring back in our guest with us to discuss. National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer. Michael, I got to say, yesterday when I heard the testimony of her text messages, and I have been waiting in this trial to find out what connections they had with this girl, with this gang, so that they thought she might have been a part of this, because as far as I've heard, the information and the evidence is kind of lean. When I heard those texts, it changed my view of her, right? And I said, okay, these are 3 years before, and the cross kind of brought me back and said, look, that's just folks talking about what's going on in the neighborhood. There's a lot of chat going on, a lot of gossip, and you may say things that you don't really mean. So it kind of brought me back a little bit. But quickly, let's talk about those texts that were 3 years, where she's talking about, oh, that murder that happened at her school, and Julio Foolio's this, that, and the other thing. What did you make of that? Should that have been let in, and how probative is it of the fact that she maybe a little bit more than meets the eye as far as this gang is concerned?
It absolutely should not have been let in. I think it rises to the level of potentially appealable error. I don't know why the judge would let that in. And yes, it did change my opinion of her. I gave the example yesterday of how much time she'd be spending in jail, and she was a kid. She was even a bigger kid back then, just 3 years ago. I don't even know how much of her brain was not even fully developed. And because it also changed my reflection on her, these were private text messages that clearly had nothing to do with the murder that happened 3 years later. So why the judge let it in? Big mistake. I think it was very prejudicial. It had very little probative value. What was the point? That she's the type of person who 3 years from now drive people to kill him at the Holiday Inn in a parking lot? It's ridiculous. It's absurd.
Yeah, now, it could go similar to what we just saw, Mike. It could go to the argument that if she's claiming she was only there because she wanted to go along with her boyfriend, who was a bit hostile and threatening, et cetera, and we may even hear that he abused her if she decides to take the stand, that kind of evidence refutes that idea that she didn't know what was going on, and that when they're out there and they're talking about this guy and they're driving around looking at this guy, she knows exactly what they're doing or what they're out to do because she's involved in it, she's talked about it. Not that she maybe wanted to do it, but she knew what was going on.
That's very insightful way of looking at it, and that's what the prosecution said, and they clearly won the day, and the judge clearly went forward with that. For me, it's so prejudicial because it was 3 years ago, and because that's how kids talk. They were calling each other the B word in those text messages, but they're friends. It's just a different lingo, different vernacular, but their life is small. Look, people have to look at the lifestyle that they were living in, and the world they lived in was so small, and this was everything they had, and they just talked about it. I'm sure there was thousands of text messages she exchanged with that friend about other people and other gang-related issues that she had nothing to do with. But clearly, the way you just laid it out is what the judge was convinced by.
Yeah, and finally, just quickly, I got 20 seconds, Mike. Now they're trying to get something that's even further in the distance. Do you think the judge said, okay, look, I gave you a win here, I'm not going to give you that one. What do you think he'll do with the 4 years?
I think he'll say, no, I don't want to get appealed and have it be brought back. I already I walked down the plank enough for you guys.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. All right.